Hello, hello. Good afternoon. Welcome to a new episode of Far From Home, a talk with a friend abroad. So this afternoon we have a very special guest, I would say. And if we have followed my stories, I'm a huge fan of his story and his music. And I'm really happy to have this talk with him. So welcome. We have some Pascal. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Viviana. How are you?
I'm good. So I know that you are Italian, living in Kazakhstan, but actually not in Kazakhstan right now. So the first question is actually how you ended up in Kazakhstan. So how was that you end up there, but also why are you are not there? If you want to tell us your story.
Well, let me first say that I'm a huge fan of traveling, of adventures. So at the time, it was like almost 10 years ago, I was living in London, between London and Rome, and I was performing with my band, with a few bands. And I met this Kazakh girl. We became a drink at the table, a few friends. Why don't you come, guys, to visit Kazakhstan? And everybody, yeah, of course. You know how it goes. I mean, pour parler. But I was actually serious about that. So she invited me there. I went there. I met her brother. He's a popular actor. At the time, he was a popular actor. Now he became a blogger. And he saw some potential. The fact that an Italian guy would fall in love with the Kazakh culture and make music in Kazakh. I'm a musician. I actually loved Kazakh culture and Kazakh girls. So that was probably the first reason why I ended up there, and because they're very pretty, and stayed there. But right now I'm in Morocco, actually, not in Kazakhstan. It's a kind of incident because I came here at the beginning of March for some paragliding. I've been a paraglider for probably 5 years now. It's a beautiful sport. I advise it to everybody. And I came here and I was on holiday with my girlfriend. Then the whole pandemic started and they closed the borders. So we decided to stay here, found ourselves a nice safe space here and to stay here. So I think it's the best quarantine I've ever done. If I will ever have another one. Actually, we're in a beautiful place in the south of Morocco. It's called Mirleft, small fisherman's, and we have our own place here for free, by the way, because some of our friends have been so nice and kind to host us. It's a complicated situation. So in these circumstances, humanity comes.
Yes.
Right? Human sense or common sense.
Yes, I think that's true. I have a question actually because I think we lost your video. Okay, now you're back.
Yeah.
Yes, but how was moving from Italy to London and from London to Kazakhstan? Did you have any cultural shock? There was something you have to adapt, or was for them like strange, something about you?
Well, we Italians have a great feature. We're very adaptable to every situation. We grow like this. Our education is about finding the right space for us everywhere. Plus, I'm from South Italy, so I think it's our religion to try to be creative everywhere. Well, of course, London was a very tough move because the music standards and actually even the work standards, they want more from you, and the prices are crazy. So I was the classic story of the Italian young guy who goes somewhere just to try what he can do. But it was a great educational path for me because the crowd in England is much. I think they're more educated to good music, to to be of that standard. For example, I was playing in a Beatles cover band. That was the thing I was paying the rent with. And these guys were from Essex, and I was Italian, so it was funny already. I was George Harrison, so I had to learn all the jokes in Scousy, you know, in Liverpool accent and stuff. It was a fun time for me, very forming as a human being, as an artist. And then Kazakhstan, work-wise, because the competition that there's in England is definitely not there. So I wouldn't say it was an easy game, but it was I was unique there. So the Italian guy singing in Kazakh, loving their culture. Kazakhstan, you have to understand that it's a country, one of the ex-Soviet countries, and is the one that is searching for its identity more than the others, because they've been under this regime, and the local intelligentsia were kind of segregated and kind of put apart. So right now they're searching for their old Kazakh identity again. In my opinion, they're not doing it well, because they have a kind of totalitarian regime, and it's kind of hard. It's more propaganda than actual culture, but every country's got its own goods and bads. So, but definitely Kazakhstan is a good move, because I could be big in a smaller musical pond. So, and I'm actually not ashamed of that.
Yes, I think was a really, I would say also like contemporary success story, because when you heard like what the young people they want to become, and actually you became like a successful musician in a country that was not so common, was not like London, where everyone like traditionally is where the music scene. And I think what you also mentioned is something extremely important when you have to do with culture. It's to really move to a country and be also loved by the locals. You have to also love, or try to love and understand their culture. Otherwise you remain in your, let's say, bubble of the expat bubble, and you don't integrate in the local culture. And so they really appreciate that you actually love the culture, and you became one of the ambassador of their culture, kind of.
Well, thank you. That's very generous. But you know what I always say, I'm always there with the Indians. I'm never with the cowboys. So I went there. I tried to understand their culture. First thing to understand is the key to their language, and every word you have to give. So it opens you other words inside of their culture. So it's important to learn the language to try to communicate, and of course, if you love it, then you carry on. If you don't love it, but you see the business opportunities, you carry on anyway. I've been in different times in which the first part of them I was loving it, part of them I was just there just because I started something important for me, and I had chances to play in front of huge crowds, and something that would never happen probably in Italy, or maybe it will happen, but with much more sacrifices. I wouldn't say it was easy in Kazakhstan as well, but
Your
every plus and minus, you know.
I think, okay, now you're back, because you're frozen a little bit. I think we have some problem with the connection. So sometimes you
That's Moroccan Telecom. It's so expensive here to be on the internet. You know, this is crazy. I mean, all my expenses are internet here. And of course, in the long quarantine days, you rather read a book, watch a movie, you know,
yes.
down.
Yes, I think we lost you again a little bit. Okay, so we're back.
Yeah.
And we are actually live from the freezer, kind of, because
as you know, I didn't predict it actually. The iPhone got very warm because I was at the sun, so it got terribly warm, and the phone turns off. It goes in kind of emergency status, mode. So I'm in the freezer now. As you see, it's empty, totally empty. I brought some Moroccan bread that a woman made to us.
I think this is like get back us to the adaptation that you said before, the how easy it for the Italians to adapt.
Exactly. I think only Italians would have thought to put, and Maltese probably. Actually, we're very similar. Let me say, I have a lot in common with Malta because, well, first the first thing that comes to my mind is one of my best friends. He's a Maltese. He's a proud Maltese living in London, and he's still the landlord of my first flat in London. So, and he's actually the first person I met.
In London.
No, probably the second. The first was our other flatmate. She was a drunk Irish girl. That day, I mean, yeah. I remember that day. It was very snowy when they closed all the airports. It was the day before, and London was crazy, full of snow. And I went there, and these guys opened the door, and I felt home straight away. Probably is because he's got this Maltese spirit, and also there's another. Nice thing about Malta, I went there to do these English courses in 2002, and I gave my first kiss to.
Oh.
So I remember my first kiss in St. Julian. I was like, what, 15 or 16? I don't know if it's late or early or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, in Pacheville probably is like the neighbor where there are all the disco, the English language school, and the clubs. And
yeah,
it's true. Like Malta is really similar to Italy. It's also a magic place, I think. But also is what you mentioned about Kazakhstan, I think is also similar, because also Malta is struggling a little bit with their identity, because there is the UK, let's say, heritage back from the colonial time, and then the Maltese identity. So they speak Maltese and English, but they also try to find their Maltese identity.
I think it's a great parallel. It's exactly what you say, because it happens in countries that have a double or triple culture. Kazakhstan is actually really much promoting English, so most of the students there are trilingual. So I mean, I think they're doing a good job. But of course, there's a lot of differences in the people. It's also a developing country, so there's a lot of. But Malta is fantastic. I have great memories, and I'm gonna come back. I have a place there to stay, so I will definitely come visit.
Yes, it's really nice here. So the second is actually, what were the challenges? You have some like specific challenges because you were actually stuck there in Morocco, but then any other like challenges that you went through during this COVID-19 time?
In the meanwhile, I went out again. I hope the tape will be okay. But I'm in the shade now. I'm in the shade in the garden. So I must say that life has been easy compared to my parents, to my friends.
Inside the connection was better because now we are losing again.
Because we are in a very low density. Go to the beach. It's in the freezer. I think it's nice.
Yes, I think it's better.
Make the live. Yeah, let me open it. That's my freezer. So, no, I was saying life has been quite easy for us in these days because we found very generous people and it's been all amazing. The restrictions here are like Italy, like Europe, but it's a very low density place where we live, so we can move quite freely. Of course, in the first days there was a bit of paranoia. People were looking at us being European, and then my girlfriend is Asian, so she's Kazakh. So they were looking at an Italian and a Chinese girl in March.
Yeah, bringing the virus to.
Yeah, it was kind of it was hard for us. In fact, we searched for another place. We went in isolation on a hill. There was an old English guy who was so kind to us. But then after a month being with him, we felt a bit of pressure because the guys was kind of always with us and stuff. So we changed again, and now we're waiting for this kind of repatriation flights of the Italian government that actually is doing nothing for us, and we're going to spend so much money to go back to Italy. It's like 4 times the price of the ticket. even though they've got some helps from Europe, they don't use them for repatriation. So I'm a bit frustrated, honestly, about how Italians are dealing with it. I mean, how the Italian government is completely forgetting about us. I heard of guys in Cuba or somewhere. They spent more than €1,000 just to come back, and you know, of course, I understand the problem is global, but they had some money from Brussels, from Europe, so they could be a bit more mindful with us, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that is also something that it is like there are a lot of people that they are stuck and I know that there are also like maybe propaganda live that they are covering some cases and try to promote a little bit of awareness, because it's like that, yeah, someone seems like being forgotten by the government, but maybe something now is moving. At least you have a date, so we hope that you will be on that flight, on that list.
Definitely, that's the only chance I have until July probably.
Yeah.
So we could have gone back to Italy before, but the problem is that my girlfriend is Kazakh, and right now there's some restrictions about non-European citizens or citizens like foreign citizens without living permit in Italy. And so it's quite controversial to let her in. I've been writing a million of emails, calling all these kind of officials. I called the police in Italy. They said no. Then I found, very luckily, a judge who is an Italian guy from Napoli, actually, like me, living in Rabat here in the capital. So he's giving me a huge hand, and I feel relieved now. But
yes,
it's been a couple of controversial months,
yes.
but then when I think about what people are going through in Italy, then I feel much more relaxed. I mean, I'm patient, whatever.
Yes.
I've been writing music, had a lot of time for myself, so I would say I'm happy to be here, really.
Yes, it could have been worse. Yes, and I think, but also what you mentioned sometimes is also, this where is home, where is the best place for us to be. Also because like we have family there, but at the same time it's safer here, and then you also have like home in Kazakhstan. So it was all this. Where is the best places to be now, and why and how?
Yeah, definitely. But even I don't really know where is home right now, because this virus thing is changing a lot of dynamics in my life. I don't know if going to Kazakhstan would be the best solution for the future. It's been a nice 8 years, and it's a cycle. I think I'm at the end of that cycle now. I'm looking for something new. I love paragliding, so I would like to be in a place where I could fly more. Maybe make a job out of my passion for flight. Who knows? Reinvent yourself. I'm happy to be a musician, but I also have to understand that my success was working very locally in that place. So if I have to change location, then I will have to rearrange a lot of stuff and risk, obviously, because I risked the first time in 2012 when I went there with nothing in my hands. I left London. I have left my flat. I left my safety to go there, but I can do it again. I think I'm young enough to do it. So tomorrow I'm gonna turn 34. So
happy birthday.
Yeah.
Yes. And yes, no, I think it's interesting. I don't know if I agree that all the Italians so easily can adapt, but for sure there are some that they are like you. And I think this pandemic, for many of us that we were already maybe living abroad, it's something that it will change, because this idea of home, where is home, what I have to do and how, I think now is a different question that we have in our mind. Is also sometimes I'm kidding, but it's like the next pandemic, where I'm gonna be with, maybe not. I love Malta, but at the same time, my family is in Italy, so maybe the next pandemic I will be like close to them. Or
of course, I'm no one to answer you specifically, because I'm not a doctor. I'm not a virologist, which is a very popular figure, popular personality in the last days. But what I think is we got dragged too much with this pandemic. I follow on Facebook. I'm one of those, uncles that follow people on Facebook. They have their theories and stuff. But this virologist is called Giulio Tarro. Is actually an Italian guy from the south. He's been in a super high rank for a long time. He fought cholera in Italy, and he fought some other big pandemics. And from the beginning, he was saying about antibodies and stuff and plasma stuff. Again, I'm not a doctor, but I think that our government has exaggerated. These things sometimes are inevitable, and the real thing I would like to think about and to spend a few minutes just to understand is the quality of life we have right now in Italy, especially in the north. Why so many people died in the north? Because the quality of life is bad. It's people working all the time, breathing bad air. The geography of that place is very helping very much this kind of pandemics. So it's the same reason why at the south people are a bit better. Why in Africa people are not dying of it? Because if this thing would have been classified like pandemic in Africa, that would have been crazy, because they don't have the structures here in Morocco to cure you. They don't have the intensive care. So it's a very delicate question. And again, I don't want to go too much inside, because I wouldn't. I would definitely find someone disagreeing with me, and this is not the kind of interview that we're doing. But
no.
But I'm a bit angry at the moment, because I see a lot of friends, they're losing their jobs. This is a catastrophe. More than the virus, I guess we're gonna count the broken families because of this economic collapse.
Yeah, but I think that here is what, like the last part of the interview is about the resources. And I think this is also what we want to share. And I think what you mentioned is also something that is a phase. We already did. We had an economic crisis in 2008, and then we had to reinvent ourselves. So now, once again, we have to reinvent ourselves. So the more we are able to like reinvent ourselves, change our project and adapt, the better it will be for us, because like be sitting and just complaining, probably it will not help us. And it's just, as you said, what's next. So let's start up thinking about what's next.
Yes, I do agree with you, but it's the task of the government should be to protect the citizens. Every crisis, there are some people that we leave behind. Whether if they die or they lose their job and they kill themselves. We have a lot of businessmen in Italy or everywhere in the world killing themselves because they cannot afford to reopen their business, because it would be more expensive, and they would fail. Definitely, they will go to live under a bridge. But so the task and the duty of a government is to protect these people, and every new cycle, to be able to deliver to the people some lifeboats. And this was not happening. I saw the mayor of Milan fining owners of businesses, little businesses, bars, restaurants, just protesting in a square very peacefully with all the safety measures and stuff. And then I'm angry because I see the journalists downstairs of the house of the politician to make interviews, or this girl that we freed from Somalia or whatever. So Italy, I mean, I'm speaking from my perspective, of course, but Italy it's become the country of the unjust. It's always been, but right now we are at the apogee of this thing, and I'm totally tired. As an Italian living abroad and carrying the flag, because the responsibilities of Italian abroad is huge. Despite some politicians say they call it the escape of the brains. They say that we are depriving our country of our function and stuff. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying that we're bringing high the reputation of Italy. We're everywhere. If there was no Ciro in New York making the best pizza, probably the rent in Tribeca wouldn't be so high. So it's so chained together. It's such a global thing. It's not. We don't have to think about our little paese, little I don't know, little
country, place.
Yeah, a little place. No, like Paese has a small city, you know what I mean. So we have to widen up our vision, but our government is like this. You know, I'm pissed off with them. Actually, I even voted them, but I'm pissed off.
Yeah, but sometimes it's also true what you mentioned. It's like that we are abroad, we are observing what is happening, and we are sad, we are angry, and I agree with you. We also carry this like proud, and we are like proud of our country. We try to like be the ambassador of our country, and even if it's complicated, because I had the same here in Malta at the beginning of March. Being Italian in Malta was not so good, and also in general sometimes as Italian you have to be careful or what you do and how you do it. But at the beginning of March, it's like you are the one who could carry the virus to Malta, even if I was here, like in 3 years that I live in here. So yeah, we have a responsibility. We observe in our country. We would like our country to be better. So I think this is a struggle of someone living abroad also. And I agree with you.
Yeah, and the things you're telling me, all these examples like prejudice and stuff, this is a problem of education. What we invested in education in the last 20 years. We are the generations of the ignorance, of Facebook. I remember I was speaking with my sisters. I've got two beautiful sisters. 2 years ago, we were making the capital challenge. So we were guessing the capitals, I don't know, of...
I do the same thing.
Whatever, Romania. I was always winning, but not because I'm great and stuff. I'm from another generation, and the primary schools, I don't know, the middle schools, we're losing a lot of ground. The boundaries, the respect for the teachers, the authority thing. I'm not talking like a fascist, okay? It's very far from me being that. I'm a very, I would say, working class oriented, but at the same time, there should be some rigidity in terms of
I think is important of education. I do training on intercultural communication, cultures, and I always mention to my students, they are like kids or they are teachers or they are like professionals, that they also need to, if you want to know about cultures, you also need to know about geography and history. Otherwise, you cannot understand a place if you don't know their history and their geography. So I totally agree with you. I think we have missed also all this like knowledge that we should have to understand what is really going on.
Yeah, because we concentrate on knowledge as notions, as information. We don't develop our what Latin people said forma mentis. It's like the shape of our mind, a kind of critical mind. We don't have it, and it's actually easier to control the masses like this. In Kazakhstan is the same. Kazakhstan, it's an amazing country that has so many resources, but the people are poor, intellectually poor. All the intellectuals, they go away because they cannot stand living in a dictatorship. So these are things that are not really helping me actually, because I should talk less about these things, especially because this is a country that gives me the bread. But it's a common knowledge actually. Things are becoming ridiculous everywhere. But what we lost is our revolutionary spirit. You know, our active political spirit. I'm not saying we have to build the Molotovs. I'm saying we have to be actively. We have to be more active in the political life. We can be very active on Facebook, not very active in the political life. I think a couple of days ago, or yesterday, we lost a very popular and talented musician in Italy, Bosso. And I love the way he was describing Facebook as a port for screamers. I really like his definition from a harmonic person like him. And this is true. I mean, it's the hell of knowledge. It's great because you know a lot of stuff. You read the musical articles and stuff, cultural articles, but there's so much rubbish covering it. So that's the freedom. That's that interpretation of freedom.
Yes. Just an episode I want to share with you about like Kazakh living abroad, but that they know you. This summer in Malta, I had a delegation from China. They were students from Shanghai University, and one was actually from Kazakhstan, another one was from Kyrgyzstan, and they're studying in Shanghai. And every time I meet someone from Kazakhstan, I ask them, "Do you know Pascal?" and they knew you, of course, and also the one living in Kyrgyzstan, because he told me that Kazakhstan is actually like what is huge is famous in Kazakhstan is also then in the other countries. Like Kazakhstan is the one like the scene.
Yeah, it's a neighbor country. Yeah,
exactly.
That's good.
So yeah,
you know, I'm very proud of these things. Though I'm living in another phase now, I lost the enthusiasm because this is routine for me. But I'm very proud because my my way is very different from the officials in Kazakhstan. They believe in the kind of Soviet-based propaganda, so the super official things. That's why when the movie Borat came out, they were fighting this promotional Borat. Instead, they should have used it to get more promotion to the country, because it's a magnificent country. It's got a lot of different ecosystems, beautiful nature, beautiful people. They have a generation of very clever people. They are fun people. They have to lose the Soviet spirit. Mm-hmm. That's a big problem for them. They still anchored to that situation. There's still this kind of father and son thing, you know. Mm-hmm. But it's a bit like South Italy, really.
Yes, I think then when we go abroad, then we also find many similarities of what we know from our experiences. So we're almost at the end of our talk, and now is the part of the message to your country, your people, and in your case, you can do in 1, 2, 3 languages as you wish.
Okay, I'll start from Napolitan because it's my heritage, it's my favorite sound in the world, because Napolitans not only were a huge vehicle for the Italian culture in America or wherever they went. They are the true holders and symbols of the Italianity in the world. Let's say Italianity. We say it Italianità. What can I say in Napolitan? So some people think that Napolitan sounds a bit rude, but I love the sound. I can say, "Why you? Ci vediamo presto. Non vedo l'ora che torni in Italia. Ma mango amaro sole e a mozzarella." I cannot speak Maltese. I think I used to know a couple of words, but probably I forgot them. Yeah, long time I haven't been in Malta. Yeah, and definitely I would say ciao to all my friends in Italia. And lo so che stiamo vivendo un periodo molto complesso, ma è di passaggio. Io spero che noi cittadini possiamo prendere in mano il nostro futuro concretamente. Il problema è generazionale, bisogna rivoluzionare un po' di cose. I francesi sono bravi a fare queste cose, gli italiani sono un po' più pigri, quindi let's hope in a nice revolution, peaceful. But noisy.
Good, bene. Vuoi dire qualcosa anche in kazako?
Actually, I speak much better Russian than Kazakh. Okay. Because it's double language also there, and everybody speaks Russian. So I definitely know that all my friends on Facebook will understand more Russian and Kazakh. But anyway, I will mix the language. Okay. Salem Dostar.
Go.
And Pascal. Уте пана штымын. Я надеюсь, мы скоро увидимся, и надеюсь, что все будет хорошо, потому что надо уже на работу обратно прийти, надо бабки зарабатывать. Йоу.
Спасибо, thank you, grazie.
Спасибо. Grazie a te.
Grazie.
È stato un piacere.
Grazie, and good luck with your flight back to Italy. And thank you everyone. Have a nice afternoon and weekend. Bye.
Thank you. Say hi to the beautiful Malta.
Yes, I will, for sure. Bye-bye.